I'm the most capable assistant at Jason's side. My specialty is handling the women he's grown tired of. One drunken accident later, he ended up in my bed. I realized, crystal clear, this time, the problem to solve was me. Jason frowned at the resignation letter I handed over. What's that supposed to mean? I answered coolly. I'm going home to get married. After 5 years as Jason's assistant, I've handled no fewer than 50 women. Isabel! As a woman yourself, you should understand what I really want! The woman across from me shrieked, hysterical, as if she truly loved Jason. I smoothly pulled a bank card from my bag and slid it over. 500,000. Jason's compensation. What does he take me for? It's not that I'm heartless. This scene is so familiar. I've gone numb. Jason's always ruthless. When he's into you, he'll promise you the moon. Once he's bored, he tosses you straight in the trash. Seeing I wasn't reacting, she threw her coffee in my face. I want to see him. Thank God it was an iced Americano. If it had been hot, I'd be scarred for life. Wiping the liquid off, I calmly took the card back. Jason always says, if you're not satisfied, there's nothing to discuss. Wait, I was just about to stand when she pressed my hand down. That 500,000 is what he already owes me. I nodded in agreement. A scumbag like Jason should bleed. More ideally, every girl in the world would get a free 500,000 out of him. Consider it restitution for the havoc he wreaks. Isabel, don't think you can strut just because you're Jason's lapdog. Just wait. You won't end any better than me. Nonsense. I'm obviously the Emperor's chief eunuch and the Queen's hatchet woman. How dare she call me a dog? Next time I'll whisper in his ear and make Severance a flat 490. Back at the office, Jason eyed the damp collar of my blazer and frowned. She hit you? I shook my head, playing the innocent. Negotiations were easy. Jason snorted. Cut it out. You left it wet on purpose. So you could tattle. I can see right through you. Busted. I flushed and was about to make an excuse when Jason, miracle of miracles, acted human. Go home. Take 2 days off. Starting next month, a 5% raise as compensation. Fine. Call me a dog. At least dogs get promotions and raises. Regular people are stuck grinding 9 a.m. to 9 p.m. 7 days a week. Jason has 5 assistants. Besides me, the rest are all elite school grads. He said he chose me because I'm ordinary. Ordinary face. Ordinary resume. Even your name is ordinary. I was angry enough to quit when I heard that. But the salary figure on the contract made my hands shake. I swallowed and answered carefully. You're right, sir. Jason nodded. Even your personality is ordinary. Ridiculous as it sounds. My lack of presence made me his number 2. The first assistant handles the work. I handle the women. I had just finished venting to my best friend when Jason called again. By the time I screeched up to the bar, 5 or 6 women had him completely surrounded. Too drunk to fend them off, he kept repeating. Just wait till my assistant gets here, you'll be sorry. Me, the queen of cowards, could only pipe up timidly. Sorry, could you move your hand off my boss's butt? On the drive home, he spent the whole way tearing into me about how pathetic I'd been and how I'd made him lose face. You've been with me this long and learned nothing? If someone this spineless climbed to where I am, you should be thanking me. The word spineless stabbed me right in the heart. I slammed the brakes, and his head smacked the seat back. Isabel! I couldn't be bothered to respond. I dumped him on the curb. Call one of those not-so-spineless assistants of yours. Not 10 minutes later, Jason texted again. Isabel, I'm sending a pin. Come get me. Not a chance. I powered down my phone and went straight to sleep. I wouldn't have gone, even if God himself had asked. Next morning when I turned my phone on, the work chat was exploding. Did you hear? Last night Mr. Jason almost got Oh my God. Did they succeed? I heard he's in the hospital. The gossip was sizzling. I, on the other hand, was panicking. What if that message last night really was my boss asking for help? Thinking of the bar scene and my own cold indifference, My suspended heart finally dropped. I grabbed 2 fruit platters and rushed to the hospital. Seeing the boss's face bandaged like a panda, I burst into tears. "It's all my fault. I'm so sorry, Mr. Jason." A familiar voice came from the doorway. "As long as you know." Oh? If Jason was fine, then who was that in the bed? "The one who harassed me." I exhaled in relief. Close call, my job almost didn't make it. Then I snapped my eyes wide. "Wait, a guy tried to harass you too?" From that day on, I never dared ignore a message from Jason. I took care of him diligently and replied on the dot. Pleased with my attitude, he waved his hand and I won first prize at the annual gala. Under the envious eyes of the whole company, I read it aloud. "One dinner with the boss." I was so mad, I got a little mad. Dinner ran from 6 p.m. to 4 a.m. Jason stared daggers at me. "Isabel, you think this is a never-ending banquet?" I couldn't be bothered to answer, and kept ordering. Easy money for capitalists. One bite of foie gras isn't even big enough to wedge between my teeth, and I still had to wait 30 minutes for it. Finally full, I let out a glorious burp and nodded in satisfaction. "All right, Jason, pick up the tab." I turned to find him, passed out beside me. 2 bottles of Lafite, drained dry. Big spender indeed, treats Lafite like moonshine. After last time, I didn't dare dump him on the street again, so I hauled him back to my tiny rental. Who knew that when I woke up, my job really would be toast? When I realized there was a bare, pale body beside me, I kept praying it would be literally anyone else. Man, woman, anyone at all. Until Jason's face came into view and my heart gave up. I swear I'll never eat foie gras again. Who knew they spiked that stuff with booze? I'd put away 20 portions in one go. Before Jason woke, I scrambled for my clothes, ready to bolt. A lazy voice sounded behind me. "On your way back. Bring breakfast. Soy milk. Hold the soy. An egg. Hold the egg." The only thing barer than his body was his nerve. Last night's memories flooded back. Drunk, Jason insisted on taking a shower. The tiny bit of sense I had left made me refuse in righteous tones. He ignored me and started undressing anyway. The second I saw those abs, my resistance turned to lust. Broad shoulders, narrow waist. I never, in a million years, thought Jason was that stacked. I always figured the only reason you could seduce anyone was your money, I muttered, ungracefully wiping the corner of my mouth. Jason gave a displeased snort, flicked his hand, and somehow I ended up scrubbing his back. As I kept scrubbing, things spun out of control. Beauty's a trap, foie gras the accomplice. I slapped my forehead and swore I'd never binge like that again just to get my money's worth. Compared to my panic, Jason looked completely at ease. He calmly pulled on his pants, glanced at the watch on his wrist with all the poise of a capitalist, and said, "It's 8:30. Still an hour and a half before work. So, when are you going to get me breakfast?" Maybe it was my guilty conscience, but every time I stepped out of his office, I felt like people's eyes on me were a little too knowing. I decided to keep my distance, but Jason just chuckled. "You're my assistant. If you're going to act like that, might as well quit." He had to be hinting at something. No one knew better than me how his women always ended up. That night I made a decision my ancestors would have cursed quit this cushy, high-paying job. But when my paycheck landed, I hesitated. Better to wait until after New Year. Paid vacation days, if I didn't milk them now, I'd never get the chance. Once I thought it through, I could finally face Jason calmly. Through it all, he carried on like nothing had happened. Of course he did, old fox that he was. The thought just made me angrier. So I swiped 2 staplers from the office to show my dissatisfaction. At last, the holiday came. I packed up early, ready to bolt out the door the second the clock struck 5. Just as I was about to escape, Jason caught me. "Come in." "Oh, please. What's with the domineering CEO act?" I cursed him out 100 different ways in my head before plastering on a fawning smile. "Dearest President, what could possibly be so urgent you're cutting into my precious holiday time?" Before I'd even finished, Jason pulled a velvet box out of his drawer. For you. Inside was a necklace with a green gemstone. I didn't know the brand, but after arranging so many gifts for him, I knew this piece was expensive. Very, very expensive. Happy New Year, Isabel. Ever since I was a kid, I'd been invisible. Even on high school graduation day, my homeroom teacher couldn't recall my name. But on the day of my interview, Jason called it without hesitation. Isabel, you came for the interview too? The first time I met Jason, he was the older brother of one of my tutoring students. The kid was stubborn and failing badly, arguing with me when Jason walked in. Some nobody from a third-rate college thinks they can tutor me? Get lost. The words had barely left his mouth before a slipper smacked him on the head. No respect at all. Do you even know what college admission rates are? With grades like yours, you won't even make it into a decent trade school. The kid shut up immediately. Jason gave him a withering look. Study. The whole afternoon, Jason sat there while I taught, and the kid listened as if his life depended on it. When the session ended, I was packing up to leave when someone blocked my way. Not bad, little teacher. My face burned at the comment. I shoved my stuff together and bolted. After that, Jason never showed up at any more lessons, until I saw the Smith Group job posting and applied without hesitation. I thought he'd have long forgotten me. But not only did he remember, he called me by name. My reverie was cut off by my phone ringing. 2 big letters flashed on screen. Jason. Isabel. When are you coming back to City A? City A was 3,000 kilometers from my hometown. I glanced at the time. Jason, I haven't even boarded the plane home yet. Oh. He hung up almost instantly. Something was off. Way off. All through the spring festival, Jason kept sending me the most random texts. Isabel, I can't find my tie. Isabel, every dumpling I ate was awful. One even tasted like pickled greens. Isabel, the New Year's so boring, I wish I was at work. Why aren't you answering me? I rubbed my forehead at the flood of messages and pretended I hadn't seen them. The next second, Jason sent a photo of his abs, every muscle perfectly cut, water droplets still clinging to his skin. Just as I was appreciating the view, he recalled it. Slipped. At this point, I was convinced something was seriously wrong with him. When I was around, he docked my pay for breathing too loudly. Now he was bugging me every day. I think your boss has a crush on you, my friend said. I shook my head firmly. No, he just couldn't function without me around. His feelings had a shorter shelf life than bread, my friend snorted. Then why's he strutting around like a peacock? No sooner had she said that than another message popped up from Jason. Isabel, which shirt looks better on me? Along came 2 photos. One leopard print, one bright pink. My friend stared in silence, then muttered, your boss is something. Thanks to her words, I couldn't focus until work resumed. If he really did like me, I had to run. My whole job was making sure women who dreamed of marrying him got sent packing. Now it was my turn. Right after collecting my red envelope on the first day back, I clicked across the office in heels and walked into Jason's office. Mr. Jason, I need to talk to you. Isabel, perfect. I was looking for you. Maybe he didn't expect us to be so in sync, but he looked genuinely surprised before speaking slowly. I'll go first. Isabel, go out with me. I quit. We both blurted it out at the same time, and I nearly dug a hole in the floor from embarrassment. He wanted to date me? Old fox indeed. Jason's face darkened as he pressed. Why quit? The salary isn't good enough? I shook my head. If I left, I'd never find another job this juicy. Then you've got a problem with me? I shook my head again. Complaints weren't something you said out loud. Then why? I'm going home to get married. Jason lost it. Ever since I handed in my notice, he found fault with everything. What is this garbage coffee? Tastes like coffee. No drinking water in the office. It's giving me a headache. He even chewed me out for smiling at Assistant Lee next door. What are you laughing at? You look like a damn turtle. My co-workers grumbled to me. He's like a firecracker every day. Anyone so much as chuckles in the office and he loses it. Who wouldn't? He used to be the one dumping people. Now he was the one being dumped. Losing his mind was one thing. The real shock was when Jason appeared right in front of my desk. Isabel, I lost a belt. Did I leave it at your place? I'll come grab it later. The way he said it was dripping with innuendo. I stammered, tongue-tied. The gossip in the room was palpable. I forced myself to sound calm. What do you mean, my place? Don't you keep your stuff at yours? Jason, however, looked completely serious. That morning I left in such a rush. I think I forgot to put it on. Noticing the stares around us, growing more suggestive, I quickly cut him off. Mr. Jason, you mean the one you accidentally lost when you dropped me off that night? No, I didn't even go home that. Before he could finish, I clapped a hand over his mouth, leaned to his ear, and hissed. Say one more word, and I'll pretend it's S.M. and beat you within an inch of your life. Jason shut up, but our co-worker's eyes didn't. So, Isabel, you quit to be some rich man's wife, huh? On the surface, it sounded like congratulations. Underneath, like I'd never make it past the Smith's front gate. I'm a coward by nature, and I was leaving after the handover anyway. Less trouble is better. So I nodded. Wedding's next month. Hope none of you show up. No sooner had I said it than someone who just left walked back in Jason, looking thoroughly displeased. Isabel, who are you marrying? Who? If I could, I'd marry money itself, and I wouldn't mind being the side piece. On my last day, Jason didn't even come in. I left the belt I dug up at his office door. A close co-worker sighed. Isabel, once you're gone, who's going to feed us, Mr. Jason Gossip? I patted her hand to comfort her. Better to leave now, before my big mouth spills my own secrets. You never told me, was Mr. Jason any good? I racked my brain. The details were hazy, based on years of doom-scrolling tell-all posts. I should have woken up sore all over, but I felt almost nothing. Terrible, I said at last. To keep her from walking my same path, I doubled down. Really terrible. She clicked her tongue. Who'd have thought a 6-foot hunk like Mr. Self? Jason would be all tree, no chili. I nodded. I didn't say it, she did. Even if Jason ever tried to come after me, nothing would stick. Right then, she renamed the boss, Free Office Group Chat, to Has Little Pepper Lost It Today? I barely kept a straight face until I couldn't. Because Little Pepper texted me. I hustled to Jason's building before I could finish cursing my own lackey instincts. I wasn't even his assistant anymore. So why was I still coming at his beck and call? If this were ancient times, I'd have made head eunuch by now. Do you need anything else? Jason stared at me for half an hour, downed 3 coffees, and still said nothing. My massage appointment was about to start, so I nudged. Cat got your tongue, Mr. Jason? He drained the cup like he'd made up his mind. Isabel, about that night. Since that night, we'd kept an unspoken pact never to bring it up, whether as a one-night stand or as boss and subordinate. Either way made me choke on the words. Called out so bluntly, I could feel my blood rush backward, and my brain short-circuit. It was your fault. For once, Jason didn't argue. He softened. I'm sorry. Then you have to take responsibility. He fell silent, then asked quietly, what do you want? I'm not marrying you. I want the same breakup payout the others got. The 2 sentences landed at the same time in the quiet cafe, and I wanted to curl my toes through the floor. Jason's narcissism was something else. Between the man and the money, I'd pick the money. Maybe he hadn't expected me to be that practical. His face went green, then purple, before he forced out, fine. He'd barely reached the door when I called after him. Mr. Jason, you never left a belt at my place. I looked everywhere, but I bought a new one and hung it on your office doorknob. I'm canceling my work number. Don't contact me again. I'm getting married, after all. I don't want him getting jealous. I didn't know if he caught my drift. Jason stood frozen by the door for a long moment, then said faintly, "I understand. I'm not dense." His recent behavior screamed he hated that I'd resigned, and his sudden kindness was a test. If I showed even a flicker of interest, he'd pile on more, and better. But there's a ceiling to what he can give. I do like him, but not enough to gamble my life. Better to kill the sprout than let a doomed romance bloom. I've processed enough of his girlfriend's severances to know the drill by heart. To spare myself the ugly ending, I'll bow out early. Besides, if I take his breakup money, he'll lump me in with the other girls, who wanted his cash. And he wouldn't be wrong. Men are sand, you can't hold on. Money, though, sits solid in your hand. I just didn't expect Jason to be so generous. He added an extra 0 compared to the others. 5 million is enough to buy a villa back in my county and coast. Sleep with a man hotter than a model, and walk away with a lifetime's earnings. Isabel, you lucky witch. Hee hee hee. I barely enjoyed 2 days of it before I fainted from cramps. When I came to, my bestie was chewing me out for chasing money and neglecting my health. She dragged me to the hospital. Cramps aren't a small thing. You have to take care of it. I obediently nodded, clutching my meds. Back home, I conked out, only to be jolted awake by frantic knocking. Jason stood outside, drenched in sweat, eyes bloodshot, looking a mess. Before I could speak, he shoved me against the door. "Isabel, don't you dare marry someone else while carrying my child." No matter how many times I insisted I wasn't pregnant, he didn't believe me. "Then why'd you go to OBGYN? Genius. OBGYN is gynecology plus obstetrics. Not every woman who goes there is having a baby. It took ages to convince him I'd gone in for cramps. Why did your period come early?" At that, he ducked his head, all awkward. "Could it be because of what we did?" "You creep. Why are you tracking my dates?" After that, Jason turned into an unemployed stalker, showing up under my building every morning. A different luxury car every day lined the curb. The neighbors thought I was trolling for rich husbands. New guy daily, new routine nightly. "Sis, how are you that good? Teach me your ways," asked a bald dude. I looked him over. "With a head that big, you're bad luck for your wife." He grinned. "Cool! Then I'll be the top." Maybe he'd had enough of my nonsense, because Jason yanked me by the hand and tossed me into his car. The bald guy still hollered after us. "Set me up with a good one next time." I agreed right away. Jason's face darkened. "Do you talk to random guys like that all the time?" "He's different." "Different how?" "He's a top," Jason finally snapped, blurting, "Do you even know why I show up at your place every day?" I played dumb, though I knew perfectly well. Nothing better to do, huh? Guess Smith Corp's going under boss spends all day loitering on the street. Jason got so mad his eyes rolled back. I thought he was gonna pass out. "You think I'm not busy? I've been ignoring billion-dollar contracts just to come hang around you. And you treat me like I'm invisible?" Realizing he was serious, I shut my mouth. Seeing me shrink like a quail, Jason sighed and lowered his voice. "Isabel, I'm chasing you." No guy had ever liked me before. No one had ever called my name with such longing. For a moment I froze, then snapped back. "Jason, we're not right for each other." "Why not? You're single. I'm not married," he suddenly shouted. "Then dump that no-good fiancé of yours. I was here first." The marriage back home line had been a lie, but he'd actually taken it seriously. I honestly didn't know whether to set the record straight. How can some small-town boy compare to me? Is he hotter, richer, more charming? I shook my head and delivered the kill shot. "I like faithful birds. Yours isn't." Jason's neck flushed red. I am faithful. Don't forget, I'm the one who cleaned up after all your girlfriends." "Jason, I probably remember their names better than you do," he sneered. "Girlfriends? Please. They were never that. I knew it. Someone as cold as Jason would never acknowledge them. He wouldn't even give them a title. Here today, gone tomorrow. This obsession with me was nothing more than him not being used to life without me hovering. Add in the rose-colored glasses I refused to wear. Give it time, and who knows what my ending would be. The warnings those women had thrown at me might just come true. Jason, I'm not like them. I know. That's why I'm chasing you. When he still wouldn't hear me, I laid it out. I want marriage. I just want something normal. A wedding, kids. Growing old together, not being some couple tied by lust and alcohol. What I can give you is better than that. Jason's eyes locked on me, baffled. Marriage isn't necessarily the best, but it's all I want. And even if I did marry you, I have zero interest in dealing with your high society drama. Jason stormed out, leaving me to stew in the car. He said I was forcing him. Truth was, I was forcing myself. If I were the type to chase pleasure, I'd have played along. If I were vain, I'd let him keep me. But I love money without selling my pride. I have lust without the guts. Jason once called me ordinary. And he wasn't wrong. I just want to stash my little pile of cash and live a quiet life. To end this farce for good, I booked a flight home for 2 hours later. I asked the landlord to toss everything from my rental, then wired her a trouble fee. Turns out traveling rich is that simple. I let out a long, satisfied breath. 5 years of grinding finally paid off. Damn, it felt good. But the universe balances itself. My relief was someone else's misery. Word was, Jason axed 40 employees overnight because a contract hadn't been renewed. Lucky you left when you did, Isabel. The resentment here could resurrect 10 demons. I lay back in a chair, munching chips, grinning at my ex-co-workers, cursing Jason. Life back home was easy. No 24-hour phone anxiety. No sudden, I dropped a pin. Come pick me up. So this is what the 2 p.m. sun looks like. Glorious. Just as I was basking, a shadow fell over my face. Eyes half closed against the light, I shooed lazily. Tisk. Move along. Big sis will buy you chips later. The neighborhood kids love to pester me. Isabel. The familiar voice made me jump. Chips scattered everywhere. Jason looked thinner, his tailored suit hanging loose. Stubble rough on his jaw, clear signs he'd been run ragged. But what did that have to do with me? The company's a mess. Everyone's on edge. Isabel, I need you. I almost laughed out loud. I was just an assistant, not a board member. And a scandal-handling assistant at that. What do you want me to do? Round up your 50 exes and have them fill those 40 positions. Jason's face twisted, indignant. They weren't my girlfriends. Then what? Your half-dead dad's candidates for stepmom? Jason's mum died young, and his dad had chased girls ever since. Nearly 70 now, and still feeling young. The novelty wore off quick, 3 new women in a month at his peak. Every one of them climbed into that old man's bed for money. Jason got so fed up he dumped the task on me. You're timid. You won't say anything to piss them off. That way my dad's dignity stays intact. Learning the truth floored me. I couldn't help giving him a thumbs up. Your dad's a real legend. Jason's face darkened, and he said my name flatly. Isabel. I straightened. Then why drag me back? I'm not wrangling 50 almost stepmoms. All I need is you by my side. Isabel, I need you. Back in the familiar halls, I shamelessly strutted around the company on borrowed authority. Tables turned once I was Jason's dog. Now, Jason was mine. At the slightest cough, he'd chew out HR for poor air quality. Fortune's wheel had spun, and I was queen. But this time he gave me a brutal assignment. Root out a mole with 1-800 employees. Where the hell was I supposed to start? Yet Jason looked at me like I had it in the bag, piling my desk with files. I've seen how you teach, Isabel. You're actually really good. You're the only one in the whole company I trust. Jason and his father had been at odds forever, each trying to bring the other down. His dad had resented me for years for scaring off his girlfriends, and he still thought he could run the show for another 20 years. Turns out most of the 40 people laid off last time were useless freeloading relatives. That bastard Phoenix man, living off my mom's resources to feed his people, in his dreams. I'd really overthought it. imagining Jason had fired them out of spite because I rejected him. Luckily, years of memorizing names paid off. I tore through the thick stack of files in no time. Thought I was in some palace drama, but it was just broke relatives running wild. The messy web of connections was plain as day. Jason was an idiot for letting them run rampant for years. When I'd gathered all the proof of kickbacks and embezzlement and was about to brag to Jason, he locked eyes with me, face dead serious. See? Not so hard, right? What did he mean? Isabel. I've been thinking. When I said I didn't want to get married, it wasn't that I didn't want to marry you. My parents' marriage was such a disaster. It was nothing but interests tangled together. I came to believe marriage was just two independent people chained down. I wasn't rejecting marriage. I was terrified of an unhappy one. But after thinking it through, if that person is you, maybe I'm not so scared. His speech stunned me. He remembered how I'd said I didn't want any rich family drama, so he stripped it bare and showed it to me. I wasn't ready for such a confession. Seeing me quiet, Jason grew anxious. Isabel, you like me. He wasn't wrong. If I didn't, why would I have joined Smith Corp? Why else would I have been his dog for 5 years? But hearing him say it so bluntly made me blush. Doesn't matter. I know how charming I am. I rolled my eyes to the ceiling, typical cocky man. After that, the company went through a massive purge. Competent people stayed. The freeloaders were axed. Looking at the accounting records, each N+1 payout made my heart ache. If I'd known, I would have filed for N+1 too. Jason scolded me for being petty. Being Mrs. Smith isn't worth more than that measly payout. I shook my head. Only money in my hand counts, otherwise it's just words on paper. But Jason was too dense. He thought I was hinting at something. That night he showed up at my place with a property deed and transfer papers. Sign this and I'll be homeless. Isabel, you're responsible. I was floored. Then I'm not signing.
Why not?
His face soured. Unbelievable. Who gets mad when someone won't take their money? I was ready to fight this damn capitalist. Why? What would I do with your house? I'm heading back home soon. Somehow, those words hit him like a bomb. He exploded like a firecracker. So you still plan to go back and get married, huh? He slammed his phone down in front of me. Call your lover. I muttered that in front of my so-called fiancé. Jason would be the homewrecker. Furious, he chugged 3 glasses of water before cooling off. Didn't we agree you'd finish my company's mess, then go home? Jason looked at me like I was an idiot. That was a stalling tactic to trick you back. The frail act, the haggard face, it had all been staged to make me feel sorry in return. I was livid, ready to bolt that night, when Jason switched to shameless mode. You can go, but you're dating me. I'll visit twice a week. No way. I refused. Jason immediately rang his 4 other assistants. 10 minutes. Find Isabel's so-called fiancé. The brainiacs cracked my best friend in 5 minutes flat and exposed my lie. Jason's face went from green to red. I awkwardly tried to shut the door, but his leg blocked it. He yanked me into his arms, holding tighter the more I struggled. Damn it, Isabel. I was dying of jealousy. Just humor me a little. In the end, I couldn't resist beauty or money. With Jason's coaxing, I became his girlfriend. When ex-co-workers heard, they all came to congratulate me. We thought your rich wife talk was a joke. Haha. I put on a shy act. Well, you know me. I've always been irresistible. Mr. Jason's no exception. Jason beamed at me, proud and doting. That night I dug out my old grudge notebook from work and demanded he avenge me. Wang killed the fish I kept at the office. Unforgivable. Lee listened to my gossip and never paid me back with any. Deserves death. Luo stole a sip of the love coffee. I brewed for you. Dock her pay. Jason, like a hanging judge, listened with relish, ready to hand out sentences. But piling on crimes just made me look petty, so I closed the book and shifted to something real. Jason, when did you start liking me? Last time we bared our feelings, I told him early on I'd liked him since the first time we met. But he'd never said when he started. Jason dropped his usual smug grin, looked me dead in the eyes, and said, "If I had to name a moment, I honestly don't know. But maybe from the time I remembered your name, you were already different." Sweet talker. Good thing I eat that stuff up.